Where's my water? I was reading the Harvard Gazette today because I was trying to find out information about new science articles. And wow, the journalists at Harvard are really fart smellers, aren't they? They wrote this article about determinism, and God, that reads like I don't want to work for my daddy's business. I've linked the article, but it's really not even worth reading. The only thing that got me is that I'm probably going to read a philosophy book about determinism. Um, but it is, wow, a bunch of fart smellers at Harvard sometimes. Sometimes they have really good science that comes out of Harvard or these Ivy League schools. But man, sometimes you get a bunch of I was watching a short about a comedian that was that had someone say, "Oh, I went to an Ivy League school," and God, don't those Ivy Leaguers just like to tell you that they went to an Ivy League school and blah 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 and smell my farts. Like, oh, you went to Princeton, you went to Harvard, and so good that you spent $100,000, or that your daddy spent that money, or that you got the full ride lacrosse scholarship or whatever. I don't even know. What kind of scholarships is Harvard giving out these days? The soccer scholarship. Mhm. The lacrosse scholarship. I was just watching this video about is TikTok ruining reading? Um, and it was actually research for 'cause my graduate class was um talking about what kind of reader are you, um talking about like how do you interact with coming to um reading books, like how do you decide to read a book, like when you pick up a book and decide to read it, what determines your decision to read a book. So I was watching this video, is TikTok ruining reading, the desire to be a reader, as research about book talk, people kind of hating on book talk because the way that people use book talk to influence them to buy books. Because I have been influenced by book talk. Um, uh, I bought several books because of book talk. Um, what books have I bought? Because I bought a call. I picked up from the Little Free Library. It Ends with Us. I got because of book talk. Um, that was in the Little Free Library. I grabbed that. What else did I grab? Oh shoot. So we're talking about books that um were influenced by different places around the internet. Ooh, ooh, different places around the internet. I'm drinking my water. So let's see here. Um, so this is YouTube, this is Book Talk, and this is Twitter. So for Book Talk, I had Song of Achilles. Definitely. I don't know what Song of Achilles is about, but that definitely influenced my ability to do certain get certain books. Um The Good Girl's Guide to Murder, I definitely was influenced by book talk in that circumstance, as well as It Ends With Us. I didn't buy this book, but I got it from the Little Free Library. No. But those three books I definitely was recently. There was also one, the one with the suckers on the front. What's that one called? Um, about the boy who ends up dying. What's it called? Um, but I read that book too. Uh, BookTube or YouTube has definitely influenced several books. I, I have been on BookTube, let's be honest, since 2008, since the early days of YouTube, because I followed authors like John Green. And the first book I ever bought from YouTube was Paper Towns. I was thinking about that recently. I bought the first book I ever bought because of YouTube was Paper Towns. And I saw John Green in person. So I have been over the years influenced by John Green's work and the Nerd Fighters community heavily on YouTube. Um, so I've always kind of flirted with the BookTube community. Most recently, I bought the Anthropocene Reviewed. I don't think this is a signed copy. It is not. It is not. I think I got it off Amazon, so I don't have a signed copy of the Anthropocene Reviewed face. Um, but it's on my reading list. Um, but just recently, I was influenced because people on BookTube talked heavily, 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 heavily about Legends and Lattes. Like, so many people were like, "You got to read this book." It's a fun little romp. I think another book I also bought because of um well, I also bought Dandruff's Assassin because of BookTube because I got caught up in the shorts of the YouTube shorts of Elizabeth Wheatley. And I was like, well, her book was okay. I'm not a huge fantasy fan. But I was like, well, I'll buy her second one and see how it goes. I might read the whole series. It wasn't a 5-star read for me, but it wasn't the worst thing that I've ever read. So I'm like, I might have to support the rest of her books and read the rest of the series. Just how I am. Um, so I bought Dangerous Outlaw, and I'm looking forward to reading the next rest of the series. Uh, I was just because some people are like into that slow burn stuff, but to me, it's just a form of emotional energy, and I like a little bit more spice to my fantasy romance. I'm a little bit more Sarah J. Maas as far as that goes. I like a little bit. I like somewhere between Sarah J. Maas and Dangerous Assassin as far as my spice level in books. We're 1 to 2 tasteful sex scenes, maybe a fade to black, something. Sex doesn't bother me as long as it's just like I don't need a whole lot, but maybe if it's just like 1 or 2 really good scenes, maybe a building, maybe a good Harlequin novel, maybe a shirt ripper or something. I don't know. I don't know. I have to start evaluating what I need out of a good fantasy romance. Because uh yeah, I started reading A Court of Mist and Fury, and it started out with Saxon, I was like a little overwhelmed and I had to put it down for a minute because I was like, that's a little bit too much already. Um, I bought this book, which is a David Lynch reread of it's a reader for the third season of Twin Peaks because somebody was promoting it off Twitter. And I just bought because of the Harvard Review, the Harvard whatever. I just bought another book that was like $18 off of Amazon. Uh, why do I buy books? I buy books. Book buying is a hobby. Let me tell you. Gotta put all these back. Hang on. So yeah, we have so many books to read for the rest of this month. I want to read this book, Cosmos. I grabbed it. It's not even on my monthly TBR, but it's how many pages is it? Well, it's like 380 pages. Hang on, let me grab some books and let me talk about this.